They called me a mistake, a burden, a shadow. But I'm not running from the world anymore. I'm running toward who I'm meant to be. Some kids are born into love, into money. Me, I was born in the shadows, where nobody looks twice. At school, I was the girl with the old hoodie and secondhand sneakers. I kept my head down, didn't speak unless I had to. They laughed at the way I dressed, but they didn't know it was my mom's hoodie, the only thing I had left of her. Every foster home came with new rules, new strangers, and the same empty promises. Cheryl, she smiled for the caseworker, but when the door closed, I was just another mouth to feed. At night, I'd draw in my notebook, cities I'd never been to, dreams I wasn't allowed to have. I'd tell myself, one day I'll matter. Not to them, to me. Then I heard her say it, that if someone else wanted me, they could have me. Like I was a problem, like I was nothing. That night I packed what I had. A picture of my mom, a red hoodie, and a heart full of fire. I wasn't running away. I was running toward something. A life that felt like mine, even if I didn't know where it was yet. Somewhere out there is the life I was meant to live. And I swear, I'll find it. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care who tries to stop me. This is my story now, and it begins in red. The first night on your own is the loudest silence you'll ever hear. No doors, no rules, no fake smiles, just me and the road. I didn't have a plan, just a sketchbook, a hoodie, and a dream I never said out loud. I followed the tracks, maybe because they looked like they led somewhere, maybe because I felt like I'd finally jumped off mine. I kept hearing her voice in my head, my mom. Don't ever let them tell you what you're worth, baby. I wondered if she ever ran too, or if the world just caught her first. That night the wind got colder, my stomach louder. I thought I was brave until I saw shadows move. Turns out freedom feels a lot like fear when you've got nowhere to sleep. I found an old station platform, empty, almost. There was this guy, about 30, rough beard, guitar case, looked like trouble. He saw me but didn't stare, just nodded like he understood. He handed me a granola bar, didn't ask questions, didn't try to talk. Just sat beside me, quiet, like we were two ghosts sharing the same bench. By morning he was gone, left behind a note. Keep walking, Red, you got fire in your eyes. I smiled for the first time in a while. The world's bigger than I ever imagined, scary, lonely, but maybe full of little miracles. And if I'm not running from something anymore, maybe I'm running toward someone, toward me. Morning smelled like diesel fuel and burnt toast. The kind of sunrise that doesn't paint the sky, it just shows up like, here I am, deal with it. My legs were sore, my hoodie still damp from the night air. And the world? It didn't care I was 14, hungry, or scared. No one looked at me, that was the trick. You walk like you belong, like you've got somewhere to go, even when you don't. I passed a gas station with broken vending machines and cracked windows. The cashier looked like he could smell fear. I kept walking. By noon, my stomach felt like it was eating itself. So I sat on a curb and drew. A girl with paper suns for eyes and plastic wings taped to her back. She looked how I felt, fragile, fake flying. A plastic bag rolled toward me. I thought it was trash. Until I saw what was inside, a sandwich, half-eaten, wrapped up tight. Gross? Maybe. But I'd eaten worse in foster care. I took a bite. No shame left. Just survival. That's when I saw her. Old woman, thick glasses, bright yellow raincoat even though the sky was dry. She was feeding birds like she had all the time in the world. We locked eyes. She smiled, like she already knew me. You're not lost, she said. You're just between chapters. I don't know why, but I believed her. She gave me a warm muffin. Said her name was Gloria. Told me she used to be a runaway too. In a different time, different kind of war. We sat for an hour, talking like strangers who forgot they were strangers. She didn't ask where I was from, just where I wanted to go. When I left, she handed me something small, a plastic keychain shaped like a phoenix. It's not much, she said, but it reminds me that fire doesn't always destroy. Sometimes it sets you free. I nodded, and for once, I didn't feel broken, just rebuilding. That night, I found an alley with cardboard boxes stacked like castles. I made a bed out of tomorrow's trash and stared at the stars like they owed me answers. I whispered her name. Thanks, Gloria. And for the first time since I ran, I didn't feel like I was falling. I felt like I might just be rising. I used to think you only had to run once, that if you made it out, you were free. But freedom's heavier than I thought. Like every step has a memory tied to it. My backpack only holds 3 things: a sketchbook, a hoodie that smells like her, and the version of me I'm trying to outgrow. Some days I feel like a ghost, walking through places where no one looks up. Not scary, not dangerous, just invisible. I passed a thrift shop. The bell above the door sounded like it was surprised to ring. Warm air hit my face. I hadn't felt that in days. The woman inside looked at me like she was waiting for me to ask for something. I didn't. I just wandered. My hands found a jacket. Soft, navy blue, too big. It reminded me of safety. I didn't have money, but I had a sketch I made of the park the day before. I left it on the counter, said nothing. When I turned to leave, she said, "It's yours, Red. You've got an artist's soul." That stopped me. Not the jacket, not the kindness. The way she said artist, like it wasn't just a thing I did, but a thing I was. I walked out wearing that jacket like armor. It didn't fix everything, but it made the wind hurt a little less. I passed a little boy crying on the curb, lost, like I was. I gave him my granola bar and stayed with him until his mom came running around the corner. She looked at me like she didn't know if she should thank me or be afraid. I get it. People don't expect much from girls who look like me. Hood up, eyes tired, shoes too worn. But maybe the world's not about expectations. Maybe it's about chances. The kind you give or the kind you take. That night, I drew myself in the jacket. Not flying, not running, just standing still, breathing, and that felt like progress. Sometimes the things we carry aren't in our bags. They're in our chests, our throats, our silence. But little by little, I'm learning how to carry me. I didn't wake up that morning trying to find her, but somehow, I did. The streets were quieter than usual. Even the wind felt like it was holding its breath. I followed the sound of music, soft, broken piano keys echoing through an alley, like someone was trying to remember a song they once knew by heart, but forgot the last note. That's how I found the place. A faded building with peeling paint and bright windows. A community center someone had written in chalk. I walked in like I didn't belong, because I didn't. Inside, it smelled like crayons, old wood, and second chances. There were paintings everywhere, handprints, poems on walls, a mural of a woman in red surrounded by fireflies. I stopped breathing. She looked just like my mom. Not the way she looked in pictures, the way she felt. Warm, wild, unapologetic. I sat at the piano. Didn't know how to play, but I pressed a few keys, just to hear something. That's when I remembered her voice. Singing to me on the nights she couldn't sleep, braiding my hair in the dark so no one saw the bruises on her arms. Whispering, "You're stronger than you know, baby." It wasn't just pain I'd buried. It was the good things, too. A woman walked in, volunteer, kind eyes, paint on her sleeves. She didn't ask why I was there, just said, "Want to paint something?" I nodded. I didn't know what I was doing, but when the brush touched the wall, I stopped shaking. I painted a single red hoodie, floating in a storm, but still glowing. That night, I slept inside the center. They let me stay. No questions. I curled up under a pile of donated quilts and stared at the mural of the firefly woman. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was chasing a ghost. I felt like maybe she was still with me, not as a memory, but a part of me. Trust didn't come easy. Not when you've been told to keep your head down. Keep your heart locked up tight. But then I met Ely. He wasn't like the others. Rough edges, sure, but kind eyes that didn't look away. We crossed paths at a corner store. I was hiding behind a soda aisle, trying not to be seen. He caught my eye and just smiled. I wanted to look away, pretend I didn't need anything, but something about him felt different. Ely carried stories in his scars. Like me, he'd been running for a long time, but he laughed, really laughed, like it was a secret weapon. He said, "Walls aren't just bricks and paint. They're the things we don't say, the walls we build inside ourselves. I wasn't ready to tear mine down. Not yet. But for the first time, I felt like I didn't have to carry everything alone. We shared granola bars and stories under a flickering streetlight, talked about places we came from, the ones that tried to break us, and the ones we wanted to become. That night, I found myself sketching Eli, not as a hero, not as a stranger, but as a friend. The walls were still there, but maybe they didn't have to keep me trapped anymore. Silence was my safe place. The quiet I kept wasn't just absence of noise. It was a shield, a way to disappear when things got too loud. But silence can suffocate, and sometimes it's louder than any scream. Eli said, "You gotta break it. Break the silence before it breaks you." So I did. I found a place where runaways like me gathered, a shelter with open doors and stories like mine written on the walls. My heart pounded like a drum, but I stepped inside anyway. The room smelled like hope and sweat and old blankets. Faces looked up as I walked in. Some eyes were tired, some wary, some kind. I took a shaky breath, and I told them my story. Not all of it, but enough. About the hoodie I wear, about my mom and the nights I ran. And for the first time, my voice didn't tremble. It carried weight, like a fire waiting to burn. People nodded, smiled, understood. I wasn't alone anymore. And maybe that's what breaking silence really means. Letting yourself be seen, even when it's terrifying. I used to think I had nothing to give. That I was just a broken girl with a hoodie and a past no one wanted to hear. But then, someone listened. And now, it's my turn. I started coming back to the shelter. Not because I needed it, but because someone else might. The younger ones watched me like I had answers. I didn't. But I had stories. And sometimes, that's enough. A girl named Jada sat in the corner one day, knees pulled up, eyes like mine used to be, tired, guarded, waiting for someone to prove they were safe. I sat beside her, said nothing for a while. Then I handed her my sketchbook, not to impress, just to connect. She flipped through it slowly, past the hoodie in the storm, past Eli's face, past the phoenix keychain I'd drawn again and again. Then she whispered, "Can you teach me how to draw?" I smiled. "Only if you teach me how to be brave like that." We sat there for hours, drawing, talking, laughing, and in her eyes I saw the light I didn't have at her age. I couldn't fix everything, but I could sit in the dark with someone until their light came back. Maybe that's what strength is. Not walking alone, but turning around and reaching back. I never thought I'd unpack a bag again. Never thought I'd have a room where the door closed because I wanted it to, not because someone slammed it. But here I was. A real bed. A chipped desk. A window that faced the sky. It wasn't much. But it was mine, even if it was just for now. The shelter found me a host home. Ms. Leona, retired teacher, sweet as sugar but sharp as lightning. She made me chamomile tea and said, "You're safe here, Red. You don't have to talk yet, just rest." So I did. For the first time in forever, I slept without listening for footsteps. No yelling, no locks. Just silence, a good kind of silence. I started drawing again, not to escape, but to remember. I sketched the kitchen table, the crooked bookshelf, her old cat named Pickles. And slowly, I started to smile more, laugh more, speak more. Eli came by with that dumb grin of his. He said, "Told you, fire in your eyes." And for the first time, I believed him. We sat in the backyard, passing my sketchbook back and forth like it was sacred. He drew dreams, I drew memories. It felt like building a bridge between who I was and who I could be. I didn't know what tomorrow held, but for now, I wasn't afraid of it. Maybe home doesn't have to mean forever. Maybe it just means a place where you can breathe, where you're allowed to begin again. And maybe, just maybe, I've finally started. They used to call me a runaway, exist, but that's not who I am. Not anymore. I'm Savannah Rose. But most people know me as Red now, and I'm okay with that, because I made that name mine. Red means fire, red means bold, red means I survived. I still wear the hoodie, not because I'm hiding, but because it reminds me of where I started and how far I've come. I speak at shelters now, tell my story, not for pity, for power. Because every time I say, I was you, some girl in the back of the room lifts her head and dares to believe in herself. I see them, scared, silent, searching, just like I was, and I tell them the truth. The world can break you, but it can also build you, if you let it. I didn't find a perfect life. I found a real one, with flaws, mess, laughter, and light. Eli's still around. Sometimes we walk the tracks together, just to remind ourselves we're not lost anymore. We're choosing the path now. Ms. Leona calls me her firebrand girl, says I brought warmth into her quiet life. I think she saved mine. And me, I still draw. Only now my sketchbook is filled with beginnings, not just escapes. I'm not running anymore. I'm rising, becoming, living. So if you ever see a girl in a red hoodie, walking like the world can't touch her, that might be me, or maybe it's someone I helped light up. Either way, we're still walking, not from pain, but toward purpose.